Good afternoon. Good afternoon. Welcome to Coffee and Conversations. Actually, coffee, cocktails, and conversations with Chante Lloyd. Today is June the 6th, right? Tuesday, June 6th. And our new scheduled time, right, is every first and third Tuesday at 8 p.m. Central Standard Time. So I'm so excited. Um, I know that last month, on the first Tuesday in May, which was May 2nd, we were not able, or we did not have the call because we launched our Tava Verse. So we had the pleasure, or I had the pleasure of interviewing a young lady. I think that was what, May the 16th, I think. I think that was May the 16th, right? And so she was awesome and amazing. My girl Glenna out of Baton Rouge, Louisiana. But tonight, get ready. My special guest this evening is awesome and amazing. But before we get started, it's so funny that I read this young lady's bio, and we all have things in life that we go through, and life goes on. Of course, business goes on. You have to continue to operate, especially if you own a business like Kenny and I do, right? And so, a lot of times we don't have the pleasure of taking time off, right? But that's okay because we are blessed to be a blessing. And this platform, right? Fall in love with yourself again, coffee, cocktails, and conversations is a platform, an opportunity for you all to be able to share, for you all to be able to connect with like minded people, and for you all to be able to receive resources from wherever it is that you live, right? A hotline, to get information about health uh, benefits that you may need, physical, mental, right? Because mental stability is so important. So, what I want to start out by saying is this morning, okay, so I have a very large family and I talk about this all the time. And just to give you a little insight, and I'm going to tell you where I'm going with this story. My mother comes from a family of 10, right? Well, my grandmother and my grandfather had 10 together. Let me say that. And during the relationship, my grandfather cheated and had children from someone else. Correct. And he eventually left my grandmother and married one of the ladies that he cheated with. Of course, he was cheating with several women, but one of the ladies that he was cheating with, he left my grandmother with 10 kids, right? My mother is third to the oldest. She was probably, I'm not quite right sure how old she was, and I'm gonna have to ask her. But it was 7 kids underneath there, with the youngest being an infant, right? And so my grandmother raised 10 children alone. Okay. My grandfather lived in the same city, lived in the same area, right? But was not instrumental in my family's life. And so, because of that, to this day, my grandfather is still living. I think I want to say he's 90, maybe 7 years old. And he's still living. My grandmother's deceased. His ex wife is deceased, been deceased for years and years and years. And so, the reason why I'm saying this is because my aunts and uncles have issues that stem from my grandfather. And I'm going to say my grandmother too, right? And so, because of those issues, unless you address those issues carry on, right? It is passed on, right? To your children, to your children's children, to your children's children's children, if you don't identify those issues and do something about it. You can't change it. We cannot change it. I was brought in this world. My mother was a single parent as well. And so we can't change the choices that our parents made. We can't change the way they brought us up, but we can make a change ourselves if we realize, you know what, this wasn't good, and we need to make a change in this area. We need to grow in this area. Now, let me tell you why I was talking about this. Because my grandfather is still alive, and he is not making it easy for the few of my aunts and uncles who want to be bothered or to deal with him, right? And it sounds really crazy, but I mean, I'm not going to go into the whole story, maybe on another platform when I don't have a guest, but something in my heart told me to reach out. Every day we have a family feed. I have a family feed with my aunts and uncles that I'm a part of because I'm second to the oldest of the grandkids. And I'm like, they treat me like one of their siblings, which I'm really their niece. And I'm that glue that tries to keep my family together. And so we have a family feed where we say good morning to each other and we inform each other of what's going on and keep each other informed, right? Plus, I have a group with my cousins, right? And then I also have a text feed with my cousins' children because all of my cousins, a majority of my cousins, a lot of us don't, like myself. I do have stepchildren, but I do not have any biological children. And several of my cousins do not, but several of them do have children, right? And actually, I have five generations. Some of those, well, really, one of those has children. Okay. And so I just reached out to them and told them that I want to applaud them for doing what's right with their father when I know that it's difficult. It's difficult still to this day. And I want to give them praise for taking the time to take him to the doctor, to spend time with him, because I know how difficult it is because he's not physically abusive, but he's verbally abusive. Okay. And so, still to this day, and he tries to control everybody with this money that he has, right? That he's caused himself going to leave in his will. But of course, none of them will be able to see it. Their children's children, which are us, probably won't see it. Probably my nephew and those children will end up seeing it. But it's not even enough money to even. And let me say this: to me, no money in the world is worth you treating your family members the wrong way. I feel like at some point in your life, you have to have a come to Jesus realization that I've been doing it wrong all these years and I want to apologize and I want to move forward. But sometimes that's easier said than done, right? So I reached out to my aunts and uncles and I told them that I applauded them, that I appreciated them, and that God is noticing what they're doing and they're not going to be unnoticed. So after I sent that, I proceeded to read my acts of faith. I hope everybody here that is involved in falling in love with yourself again has your acts of faith book that we're supposed to be reading. It's a daily read. And what I love is it has the dates, right? And so you can continue to use this book. It doesn't have years, it has the date, so you can start all over January 1. But today's reading said, give not which is holy unto the dogs, neither cast ye your pearls before swine. Matthew 7:6. Should we wear our most expensive outfits to a mud fight? Why then do we continue to place ourselves in jobs, situations, and relationships that ruin our peace, health, and self value. Let me read that again. Should we wear our most expensive outfit to a mud fight? Why then do we continue to place ourselves in jobs, situations, and relationships that ruin our peace, health, and self value? Should we leave our most valuable possession unguarded in a public location? Why then do we place our minds and bodies in the I'm sorry, why then do we place our minds and bodies in the reach of those persons and situations with a demonstrated history of abuse or neglect? Let me say that again. Why then do we place our minds and bodies in reach for those persons and situations with a demonstrated history of abuse or neglect? We are to ourselves the most valuable possession we have. Yet we waste our time, energy, and sometimes our lives in worthless situations among people who are not who are people who are unworthy. Let me say that again. We are to ourselves the most valuable possession we have. Yet we waste our time, energy, and sometimes our lives in worthless situations among people who are unworthy. We must value our ideas, our energy, our time, and our life to such an infinite degree that we become unwilling to waste who we are. If we put on our best and go to a mud fight, we can expect to get dirty. If we place our head in the lion's mouth, we should expect to get eaten. I am very valuable to me. Think about a situation where you were, well, I'm sorry, think about a situation where you took care of yourself by respecting your energy and your time. What did you gain by prioritizing your self care? Okay. So I'm going to go ahead and bring Lerona Barnes, my guest this evening. I'm so excited to talk to her because this is something that went on in my life this morning. And then when I read her bio and I read her story, I just I just want to know about her journey, and I want to know how did she get to where she is today? How did she overcome it? So, Lerona Barnes, are you out there this evening, beautiful lady? She's from
Yes,
Arlington,
ma'am. Yes,
Texas.
ma'am. Can you hear me?
I I can hear you loud and clear. How
Oh,
are
thank
you
you. I
today?
am wonderful, beautiful. How are you, Mrs.
I'm doing
Lloyd?
yes, I am awesome and amazing. And I want to thank you ahead of time for being willing to be honest and open and transparent. And also, I want to thank you for sharing because your story is not going to help a lot of people that are out there that are listening this evening because we
Mhm,
have a lot of people on the line, but it's also going to help me too as well.
mhm.
Because when I just told you about just a little bit about my family life, it was a few, like a two out of 10, two of my uncles are deceased.
Mhm.
Um, three of my family members, over half their lives was on drugs. Praise God that they have gotten their lives together now.
Yes.
One of my uncles have been sober and clean for over a year now. This past August made a year, but he is 70 years old and probably 65 of those years,
Mhm.
or I would just say as a teenager, right?
Right.
And so it's very difficult, right? And a lot of times when you're on drugs that long period of time, mentally you're still back in those days. You're not really present because you haven't been around to deal with everything that has been going on in life. And
Right.
so I want to hit on some things that you said because I read your bio and it says that you're a mother of two and a grandmother of five, which is a
Yes.
blessing, right?
Right.
You in Arlington, Texas. Does your grandbabies live there with you in Arlington?
No, my babies are in Kansas City, Missouri.
Mm. So how often do you get a chance to see them?
Not as often as I would like.
I know, I know. Now, Miss Barnes, are you married now?
No. I'm
No.
happily single.
You happily single, but would you like to be married again?
Lord say the same, yes.
Okay, okay,
Uh,
and that's a good thing. And that's a good thing because, and the reason why I ask because a lot of times, even like I'm gonna use my mother as an example, because she didn't have an example of what a husband should be or what a husband should look like. She made
mhm.
bad decisions and bad choices in the past, and so she shied away from not only maybe possibly being married, but let's just go basic as dating, right?
Right.
But that has changed for her, I would say, within the last 60 days, which I'm very excited, and it may not even be 60 days. I'm very excited because what happens is we don't know any better. We assume that that's how it's supposed to be, and it's not.
Right.
So I read your bio and it said that you got married at a very young age,
Yes.
that your husband was abusive, and
Yes.
that you finally decided to leave and you got remarried
Yes.
and married an abusive husband.
Yeah.
Now, were you married three times or just twice?
Three.
Three times. Okay. So was the third husband abusive too?
Not physically, no,
Mentally.
because you have different types of abuse. You have the
Mm-hmm.
verbal, you have the emotional, you have the physical, and you have the mental abuse. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
And
Mm-hmm.
I have experienced all of that. But the third one, he was more mental, emotional, and verbal.
Okay. Okay. Let me ask you this question. And I'm asking because I'm curious because your story is going to help me out too as well.
Mhm.
So I see here that you said your father passed away and that destroyed you.
Yeah.
And during your journey of the abuse, then you began to abuse alcohol. And then
Yes.
later on in life, you started to abuse drugs.
Yes. It got
What
heavier after my dad died because I was
after your
already,
test?
yeah, I was
Hmm.
already using.
So, so was you and your father? Did your mother and father? Did you grow up in the
I
household with
grew up
your
with
both your
both parents.
parents?
Yes, I grew up with both parents.
And if you don't mind me asking, was your father abusive?
That's a question I will not answer.
Okay, okay. And let me ask you, because this is no platform for judgment or anything, because I these questions are helping me out too.
Hmm.
Because I didn't have a father growing up. My mother and them had a father to a certain age, and then of course he left them and he was not active in their life. So to me, in my mind, I didn't get married to Kenny until I was 35 years old.
Hmm.
I never been I was first time getting married, didn't have any kids, but to me in my mind, because of course social media wasn't popular or it didn't even exist for me growing up. And even as a child growing up, you saw very few positive black couples and role models on
Hmm.
television. But as I got older, I had girlfriends in school and people that,
Hmm.
neighbors and everything. So I never knew of anybody that I felt like was a positive role model or a positive male,
Right.
but I felt like it was out there. You know what I mean? And I felt like the man, because of my biblical teaching, I'm from a Catholic background, but I left Catholicism when I was in my 20s and
Hmm.
decided to go out and search. And I believe that the male sets the tone in the household. And so, whatever you see your father do, or whatever you saw your father do, or how your father treated your mother, is the type of person that you too are going to go out and meet
Hmm.
and do the same thing. And my mother did the exact same thing. My mother was married 3 times. First husband was physically abusive. Second husband was a molester. Third husband was abusive. And so she started to question her choices. And I had a conversation with her the other day and I said, Mom, I said, at some point in our lives, we have to look at ourselves and say, okay, something about me that I'm attracting these type of people. So what in your journey along the way, because did you get off alcohol and drugs on your own, or did you go to some type of, you had to go to a a facility, you had to go to get help? Because nothing is wrong with that at all, and I just want to applaud you for doing it, because I live it in my family and I know the things that they go through. And when I read your story, it hit so close to home for me. And then when I was reaching out to my family members this morning, it just was like, oh wow, And I was excited to talk to you because I just want to pick your brain, because I wanted to help me too, you know,
Okay. I'm gonna answer
to
your
help
question.
me.
I'm gonna answer your question.
Yeah, to help me to even help my family, because what I realize is, because I love my mother, and my mother was the best mother that she knew how to be,
Hmm.
and she still is. But the things that I don't like, or the things I don't agree with, or the things that I've even picked up from her, because things are genetics, if they pass on, I've learned and have been trying to work on it
Right.
myself, because I want to be a better person. And I want to show my cousins and be an example for my stepchildren and my nephews, right?
Hmm. Right.
Because I can't change the past, but I can make a difference today
Right.
to the future.
Right.
So let me shut up about me, because it ain't about me, but you just don't know how you get ready to help me right now. So go ahead and just share whatever you want to share, you know,
Okay.
because it's important for it to come from you, not from me.
Mhm. Right. Okay. So what I have to say, when I sent you my bio, when I was told what that you wanted to have my bio, and what I had earlier is what I had written, but I was told that it needs to be a little more personal for me,
Yeah.
and
Hmm.
my journey, what I've gone through outside of
Hmm.
business.
Right.
So the thing of it is that I had written this 7 years ago.
Wow.
So I had already had it. I just kind of like revised it a little bit because it's actually 3 pages long.
Right. Okay. Yeah, 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 yeah. I think
Okay.
Rocky told me. Right, right, right.
Yeah.
And then she told
So I
me
revised
she
it.
had you, which I would be definitely interested even to read, if you don't mind,
Oh, I
not
don't
here
mind.
now,
Like I said,
but
I've had it for
personally.
7 years, so, and I've been sitting on it. Every now and then I may tell my story.
Hmm.
And really it hasn't really come out until I started my business, right? But
Right.
like I said, I got married at age 19, graduated out of high school in 74. I got married in 75. Um, I was
Mm.
pregnant at the time, so I was almost like nearly 9 months pregnant. I was actually 9 months pregnant when I got married. Um,
Hmm.
so that was in 75, and then 2 years later, 21. Now, as far as the abuse started before I even got married, and I would say the story about when I got married, me myself, some family members may disagree, but me myself, I called it a shotgun wedding. That's a
Okay.
shotgun marriage, because it wasn't a wedding, a shotgun marriage. That's what I call it.
Okay.
Because at the time, you don't get pregnant and you're not married.
Right.
Okay, so you're pregnant,
Right.
you get married.
Right.
Okay, so
Right.
that's where it
Back
was. That's
then.
why I
Right.
was saying I had to
Mhm.
get married because
Mhm.
I was pregnant.
Mhm.
But
Mhm.
anyway, the abuse started long before that, but no one really knew about it because I was not
Mhm.
talking about it. Um,
Mhm.
Me myself a loner, so I didn't really have friends, so I didn't talk about it. But fast
Mhm.
forward from that point, that went on through. Um, got pregnant again at 21. I had my daughter,
Mhm.
and then I think I was married for about 10 years before I finally decided that enough was enough. I mean, granted, I
Mhm.
left before.
Mhm.
I think
Mhm.
I left at least twice before. But then, they make those promises, I'll never do it again. I'm
Mhm.
sorry, and all
Mhm.
of that. And being
Mhm.
as that, I had nowhere to go in my mindset.
Mhm.
I had nowhere to go. I had
Mhm.
family there. This is all back home in Kansas City, Missouri. So I
Mhm.
had
Mhm.
family, but it wasn't an option for me to do that. So
Right.
I tried to like make it work with me and my kids, because that's who it was about. It was about me and my children. And so I think honestly, it came to the point to where somebody's going to die and it's
Mhm.
not going to be me.
Right.
Okay. So I made certain steps towards that direction.
Mhm.
At the time, the movie, The Burning Bed, had came out.
Okay.
If you remember The Burning Bed.
Yes, I do remember
Well,
that.
yeah. So I had a nervous breakdown up before this had happened,
Mhm.
and my daughter seen it. So yeah. So at that point, it's like, okay, something's got to give. So I
Right.
called my dad. I called my dad and had him to come and get me. At that point, dad and I were like party buddies.
Mhm.
So he was in the military, so he would take me up to the base club. And then at the end, I waited until their dad went to work. And then I said, Dad, I'm ready to go home now. And he dropped me off at home. And I said, when you get home, have mama to come and get me and the kids. And that's what he did. Mom came and picked us up. And I hadn't looked back since. Granted, I
Okay.
was scared and fearful for my life and for my family's lives because I had been
Mhm.
threatened so many times,
Right.
you know.
Right.
But I got out of that relationship, and then I ended up getting married the second time. Now, it didn't start out abusive. Certain things had transpired, and to the point to where it ended up being abusive. So the first
Mhm.
one I was married to 10 years. The second one, I don't care. I'd already been through, so I'm not going to go through another 10 years of this, right?
Right.
I
And
loved the
so
second one.
how long were you married the
five
second
years.
time? 5 years.
5 years. I
And
told him, I said, you only have 5 years. If you ain't changing 5 years,
right.
I'm out. So I left after
Mhm.
5 years. No children, just the two I had through the first marriage. So yeah, so I've been through all of that. And then when I left the second husband, that's when I like started really partying. I was 30 something and I'm like, I'm having a coming out party,
Mhm.
because
Yeah.
I was sheltered, you know.
Yeah.
So yeah, I
Mhm.
did all that. And one thing led to another. And I digress a little bit because I was raped
Mhm.
with my first child. I was 9 months pregnant, and I was yeah, yeah. Um, so past that, um, I started partying and clubbing and all of that, right? And then my dad got sick. Excuse me, my dad got sick, and he stopped going out to the clubs and
Mhm.
stuff because he turned his life around, and so he was running for the Lord then. Okay,
Mhm.
so
Mhm.
he found God in his life,
Mhm. Mhm.
So I felt abandoned and alone. So
Mhm.
my drinking got even more, you know. And then I started doing the drugs, and then daddy died. And
Mhm.
then when daddy died, that was all she wrote for me,
Mhm.
you know. So the drinking got worse, and the drug got worse and worse. That was the thing right there. Once I started
Mhm.
doing the drugs, um, it was cocaine. Once I
Mhm.
started doing that, I wasn't really drinking as much because I was doing the drug thing, but I was still
Mhm.
working at the
Right.
post office,
Oh
and
yeah.
I worked nights. So I was still working. And I
Mhm.
did that for 4 years,
Mhm.
and I was tired. And the guy that I was dating and living with at the time, he started becoming abusive. Never in the whole time we had
Mm.
been together had he ever said a harsh word to me or laid hands on me. But when we got to doing the drugs, all that changed. And so I was no bigger
Mm.
than a little finger because I was
Mm.
I literally a skeleton, just a
Mm.
layer of skin over bones. That was it. But I wore big clothes, so nobody, the
Mhm.
only part of my body that people would see is my face. And that was sinking in,
Mhm.
you know.
Mhm.
So this one night, my girlfriend came to pick me up to go to work. And I had just finished using that night and I had to leave. I was made to leave to go to work because they didn't want me around
Mhm.
anymore. All they wanted was my money because I
Mhm.
provided and sent me off,
Mhm.
right? So she picked me up and I told her, she looked at me and I told her, I said, I can't keep doing this. I can't keep doing this. I'm tired. I said, but I know it's going to be hard for me. I know I can't stop. I can't do it on my own. I've tried.
Mhm.
I've tried. I can't do it on my
Mhm.
own. I said, I, I can't keep doing this. So we ended up at the
Mhm.
store so she can get her coffee because she always did a quick trip run for her cappuccino.
Mhm.
And when she did
Mhm.
that and came back out, something was going on with me inside her
Mhm.
car. So when she came back, I'm like, her name is Jan. I said, Jan, something is not right. She said, what's right? What's wrong, bro? I said, something is not right. I said, I got to stop. She said, well, bro, do you want to die? I said, I don't care if I died or not. I said,
Mhm.
if I die, I won't hurt no more and I won't be hurting my family anymore. That was my
Right.
mindset. That was
Right.
my mindset. The moment, Mrs. Lloyd, the moment I said those words, I literally started feeling numb from my feet rising all the way up my body. I was going numb and I felt life was being sucked out of my body. Literally.
Mm.
That's how I felt. And she got me to the job. We got to the job. And before we got to the job, she said my head fell back. And she was talking to me and I wasn't saying anything. And she was shaking me, roll, because that's what they called me back then.
Row.
And she brought me to, we got in the parking lot. I fell back out again, she said.
Mhm.
So then she had to
Mhm.
take me to the front entrance because people were getting off work and she didn't want me exposed to all that. So she took me up front.
Mhm.
While she was doing that, I was burning up on fire. I started shedding off all these layers of clothes. And it was in the dead of winter, cold in
Oh
Kansas City.
wow.
I was on fire, literally, like internal combustion, burning up inside. And she got me to the front. And once she got me to the front, I fell out the car and just started stripping off my clothes because I could not get warm. I could not get cooled down.
Cool.
I couldn't get
Right.
cool. And I was just shedding clothes, right? And the only thing I remember after that is being in the back of an ambulance. What she told me, because she didn't tell me this until 2 months later when I started asking questions. But what she told me was that I had died. And I'm like, I did what? Because see, I didn't find this out the 2 months later. They asked me what did
What?
I want to do because I was in the back of the ambulance and all I remember is gasping for air.
Right.
When I opened my eyes, I had a sheet over my head.
Are you serious?
Yeah, I was dead. The paramedics had pronounced me dead. They tried to revive my heart 3 times. So I went home that next morning
What?
Yeah, I
So
went
you
home
went
the
to the
next morning.
hospital
I went
and
back
then
to
they
my
let you
house. I
go.
went back to my house the next morning. They asked me if I wanted to go home that night. I said no, because I knew they were still doing what they were doing at the house. And I was being totally mistreated by everybody. Okay. So I went home with her, but I told her to take me home at like, I think it was like 5:30, 6 o'clock in the morning, like I had been at work and I'm just getting home from work. So they would
Right.
know no difference.
Right.
And she told me that she asked for my daughter's number and I wouldn't give it to her. Somehow she got it because the next thing I know, there was an intervention being done. My mother,
Right.
my daughter, my son, and my 4-year-old granddaughter came to get me. And I'm like, my daughter said, "You leaving about this house?" I said, "No, I'm not, because this is my home. I'm not going nowhere. I'm not going." She said, "Mama, you leaving out here kicking and screaming. I'm gonna have Mikey, which is her older brother, carry you up out of here kicking and screaming, but you leaving this house." What broke my heart, every time I tell this part, I tear up. What broke my heart is my 4-year-old granddaughter. She said, "Grandma, Grandma, are you going to be okay?"
Mm,
That's the
mm.
only reason I walked up out of my house.
Oh wow.
That's the
She
only
was
reason I
meant to
walked
be
up out of my
there.
house. So
Yeah.
yeah, about a couple of months later,
How old were you then?
uh, let's see, 48.
Okay.
Because my
Okay, you
dad,
was
my dad passed in two, my dad passed in 2000.
mm-hmm.
My dad passed in 2000. I was 44 when he passed. I think
Mm-hmm.
that's what I wrote. I was 44 when he passed. My life spiraled out after way out of control after that, and I was 48.
Mm-hmm.
Actually, matter of fact, that was the same year that Whitney Houston passed away. She was around the same age.
Mm. Mm.
Yeah. So yeah, and she
Mm.
told me that that's what had happened because I asked her. I said, "What did you tell my family when you called them?" And she said, "Ro, I told them you died." And I said, "I did what?" She said, "Yeah, Ro, you were dead."
Mm-hmm.
So
Mm-hmm.
I know. This is Lloyd. You asked me. You asked
Mm-hmm.
me how. How did I overcome? What did I do? My answer to that question is, the always answer to that question is, I didn't do a thing.
Mm-hmm.
It wasn't me.
God did it.
It was God.
Yes, it
It
was.
was God. I had
Yes,
to
it
hit
was.
my rock bottom. I gave up, but he did not give up on me.
No, he wasn't done with you yet,
Nope.
Lorona. He
So
wasn't
I'm
done with
I'm
you
here.
yet.
I'm
You had a
here. I'm here
purpose.
today.
Yeah.
I'm here today. Now
Clean.
I did go to something like a AA, but it's called something else because
Right.
my girlfriend at the time had a friend who was already clean and sober, but he was a truck driver. But anytime he came back home, he would go to the meetings.
Mm-hmm.
And I was
Mm-hmm.
asked, from staying with her, I was asked if I wanted to go. And I said yes,
Mm. Mm-hmm.
you
Mm-hmm.
know.
It's
So,
good that you wanted to go because my uncle, I mean, of course, he's been in and out of rehabs all his life, but finally he went last year. Actually, he went to Minneapolis to the same program that George Floyd went to,
hmm,
the exact same program. And he's doing so good. I'm just so happy and so proud of him.
hmm,
But, what he's playing catch up, because he
gotta turn
missed
some
so
light on.
much. Yeah, go ahead. He's playing catch up because he missed so much of his life, you know,
Uh-huh.
that now he's still out there. He completed the program. He works. He has an apartment out there, Minnesota. Of course, he doesn't want to stay there because he says it's too cold, which he's not used to the cold weather. And but he started a counseling program where he can counsel people too
Right.
as well. So I'm so glad, and it's so funny because he's had like 25 lives. Like so many
That's
times he should have
amazing.
been dead.
Yep.
And God just say, "No, I'm not done with you yet." And so a lot of times Stuff like that gives me hope because, and it also makes me feel some sense of comfort because I'm not saying I'm just in this area, I'm confused. I'm not saying that God takes your life away or kills or,
Hmm.
I, I don't really 100% understand that.
Right.
But I do know that a lot of people are not making it. A lot of people are not given second chances and third
Right.
chances and fourth chances and fifth chances and sixth chances, you
Right.
know? And so when you know that you're still here, that's what I keep telling my family members. And that's what I want them to understand is long as God still has you here, you have the
Right.
opportunity to make the best of this time right here, right now.
Right
And
now.
whatever I find my mother a lot of times she is regretting her decisions in the past, right?
Hmm.
And I say, Mom, you don't have to do that because you did not know, right? You did not know because you were not taught the right way, right? And you can't be mad at them because maybe they were not taught the right way. You know,
Right.
parents can only do what parents can do. And whether it's good or bad, it's up to you to be the best child towards your
That you can be.
parents
Right.
that you could be, right? To
Right.
respect them and love them, whether they're bad or good, right?
Right.
But not to carry on those bad things that they did and to realize where this behavior comes from. How do you get to this point and to make a difference? Because now in 2023, we have so many different resources and things that are right here at our
Right.
hands that you
Hmm.
didn't have back then.
Nope.
You know what I'm saying? That and even now to this day, I don't know, but sometimes we have to be honest. Like you say, you wrote it down, you realize, what whatever the issue was. What about you was attracting these type of people? Something about Lerona that attracted these type of people that didn't respect you as a woman and the queen that you are. Because drugs or no drugs, no one has the right to put their hands on you.
Right.
And I think about how right now today our rights are women's rights, are on the
Hmm.
line. That we it feels like to me that we're going back to those days or those days where women don't have rights. We don't have the right to have control over our bodies or our minds, our thoughts,
Right.
our feelings, what we wear, how we dress, whatever it is, and um, we're not respected as human beings, you know, and I just be honest with you, my grandfather don't respect women. He doesn't. He doesn't think that women should be anything but pregnant in the kitchen, cooking and having sex and having. I mean, to this day, it's like his mindset is still of that in the 50s and
Hmm.
40s and 30s, and it just hasn't changed. And he's it's funny because he doesn't believe in God. Um, and right now, every other day he talks about he's need to go to the hospital because something has happened to him. But that's only because mentally you're not willing to submit. You're scared to die. You're scared to close your eyes. You're scared to say, I'm sorry. He still, even to this day, is mentally, verbally abusive
Hmm.
to my aunts and uncles. And they still try to do everything they can for him. And that's what I was commending them because I don't know if me personally, I could have handled that or I could do that because
Mhm.
peace is so important. Peace is so important. It's worth
Mhm.
more than anything in the world. Money can't buy you peace. Money can't buy you health. Money can't buy you sanity. Money can't buy
No,
you,
it can't.
oh my gosh. And a lot of times, these nowadays, everybody puts so much value on money. Yes, money is important. Don't get me wrong. You
Mhm.
know, it helps you be comfortable if you're sick. You know,
Yeah.
you get to live the final life if you're sick, and you can live a good life, and pass that on to your children and to your grandchildren. That's
Right.
the blessing, to be able to allow them to enjoy it and to do things. But,
Mhm.
peace of mind is priceless. And so I'm just glad that you made the decision yourself, because a lot of times people don't. They have to be
Right.
forced. They have to be pulled away, strapped down. Um, when you have money, you can get the best of care. You can go to these type of
Right.
facilities, but when you don't have those things available to you. You know what
Right.
I'm saying?
Right.
And so, tell me what's going on right now in your life, and tell me, have you, when you say you wrote that 7 page, have you really thought about some of the some of the choices, or some of the things that you've done, and have you made changes in those areas so possibly your children and your children's children don't make the same mistakes? Because to me, that's what's most important. It's not about, see, those things that happened to you in your past. The reason why you're still here today is so you can be a so you could be right here today on conversations, cocktails and conversations, and you
Mhm.
can share and impart in me and other
Mhm.
people that are out here listening, that may be going through the same things, that are not even willing, like you, to be honest and come on a platform like this and share your journey.
Well, it took me. I'm not going to say it took me a lot. Like I said, I just know that my story is not my story. It happened to me.
Mm,
It happened to me, but it's not just my story,
yeah,
and me telling it will help someone else that's gone through abuse, you know, and to know what I know now and I didn't know then was that it's not okay
yeah,
for someone to treat you that way
yeah.
for whatever reason. Why I kept attracting the same type of men. My mistake was you don't tell them everything about you,
No,
because when you do, they flip that around and use
and
it
use it
against
against
you.
you.
Okay. And that's what was happening with me. You
Hmm.
know, I was told a long time ago that I'm looking for love in all the wrong places,
Yeah,
you know,
yeah.
and I found that to be true, that
Hmm.
I was, because
Hmm.
what had happened to me during my first marriage, it broke me.
Hmm.
It broke me. My
Hmm.
self esteem was
Hmm.
not there. It was lacking. I had
Hmm.
low self esteem. I was not confident
Hmm.
in myself. I didn't feel I
Hmm.
was beautiful,
Hmm.
regardless of how much you say I didn't feel I was beautiful, you know, and
Hmm.
it's just all of those things. But I
Hmm.
took care of me. I took
Hmm.
care of my children and I took care
Hmm.
of the men.
Hmm.
Okay. So now today, it's all about Lerona.
Right.
So
Okay.
when I said earlier that when you asked me if I was married, I said no, but I'm happily
Hmm.
single. And yes, I
Yes.
would love to get married again. Like I said, it's
Are you
God's choice
dating?
this time.
Are you dating?
No, that's a scary
No.
thing right there.
Yeah. So how long have you been single?
I have been single since 2010.
Hmm. That's 13 years.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so in those 13 years, you've been finding Lerona,
Finding Lerona.
finding
Yep.
Lerona, enjoying life. Now, are you retired besides Tava? Are you
I'm retired from
retired?
the post office, but I actually right now currently work for one of the school districts in one of the
Okay.
schools in the Arlington School District as a
Hmm.
clinic assistant
Okay.
because I have a medical assistant license, but I work
Hmm.
in a high school.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah,
Okay. Yeah. Yeah. We want to be loved. Women want to
yeah,
be loved, and a lot of times the I see that the signs are there. I think what I've been single and dating, what I realized along the way, because I dated, I learned from each relationship. It was I have that same cup. It was a learning experience for me. And what I
hmm,
did was, along that journey, I was finding out who I was, learning who I am, and
right,
also trying to find someone that can show me what a man is. What did God bring a man on this earth for? You
hmm,
know, if he's considered you cold, go in the house. Auntie is almost done. If he's considered the king, why? Like, what is the king? You know what I
right,
mean? And even when I met Kenny, because I was so used to doing everything for myself, it was difficult at the beginning because I needed to learn how to relinquish and let go and
right,
allow him to do the things that I wasn't used to men doing, that I
hmm,
didn't know men were supposed to do. You know what I
right,
mean? And I attribute, I mean, of course, he's not the perfect man, but he is the perfect man. Of course, there's no perfect man, but he is the perfect man.
hmm,
He's the perfect man for me. And what I love most about him, and I say it all the time, is not only is he teaching me, but he's also teaching my family, my cousins.
right,
They get a chance to see a positive relationship. Yeah, we argue and, the
hmm,
normal things, but just him supporting me as a woman and doing things for me that I just, used to doing myself. We used to looking out for ourselves,
hmm,
and treating me the way that I know that I should be treated, that I think that a man should treat a woman. I posted something on Instagram maybe a couple of weeks ago, and I wanted to know people's opinion, and it was a conversation between Steve Harvey and I can't even remember the guy's name.
hmm,
He's on the sports uh channel, and I don't even know who the man is actually, but I've seen him on the sports channel talking about
right,
sports because Kenny watches it all the time. But anyway, and even Steve Harvey, I don't know nothing about his personal life, only what he shared. Of course, I see people making comments and saying this and that, but I don't care. I don't know the man. It's his life, and we all
right,
have issues. We all have a past and a
yeah,
life, right? So, but everybody's always so quick to judge. But we all have issues, and until you know the whole story, until you walk in that person's shoes, you don't know what you would do, right? And then
right,
I also know that we grow. Like I'm not the same at 53. I'm not the same person as I was at 43 or
right,
33 or 23. You know what I mean? I have grown through those things. I had to grow to not care about what people thought about me.
hmm,
And, I grew to this. You know what I'm saying? And so I just appreciate, you know, this first experience being an experience and I feel blessed, and I don't try, I do. I share it all with my family and friends, even my blessings, because my blessings are to share with them, my family,
right,
my friends, my business partners, because it's not about what I have, it's about what I have and I could do for others.
Right.
That's what brought Kenny and I the success that we have today in Tava. Not that we were seasoned network marketers or we've been in the business so long we know what we're talking about. No, we knew about business and we care about people genuinely, right? And we
Right.
want to help people, and that's what this business does, right?
Right. Right.
And what I love is because Kenny did grow up with a mother and a father in the household. And just because you have two people in the household, a mother and a father, it doesn't mean that it's always a positive household, too. I learned that too as well, because you could have a mother and a father in the household, but it could be dysfunctional, right?
Mm-hmm.
Because a lot of times their parenting comes from their parents and so forth and so on. But my point is, at some point, we have to grab hold of and realize that this is not how it should be,
Right.
and we have to change it if we want it to be changed in our children and our children's children and our children's children and so forth and so
Right.
on. So I love my family so much. I am a family person. God brought me on this earth to keep my family together and continue on my grandmother's legacy, and I'm trying to do that. But sister, it is difficult. It is so difficult. My cousin cussed me out today, called me all kind of names, and I'm like, oh my God. And she's going through a lot. I know she is,
Mm-hmm.
but hell, I'm human too, and I have feelings too. And
Right.
even if she's not going through anything, even before what she's going through now, she was still like that. So it
Right.
wasn't like. But I keep on going, and I'm so glad and blessed that God has made me who I am to not hold on to that baggage,
Mm-hmm.
not take things personal. When we say
Right.
that in business, and when I say that in business, I really mean that. I don't take things personal because I understand people have lives, people went through
Right.
things. You don't know where that person's been through, what that person's been through. And
Right.
just to say, hey, Lerona, you're beautiful. How you doing today? Love your smile. Little things like that go a long
Yeah.
way.
Go a long way.
And all the hatred that's going on today in the world, the bigotry, the disrespect, the killings,
Yeah.
we need love. We don't need people pulling us down and
Mm-hmm.
and telling us what we did wrong and all of those things. We already know. But it's important for us to learn from our mistakes and like you to be willing to impart on. So what I was saying about, I'm sorry, I got all off on what I was saying about Steve Harvey is I like what he said, his personal life, personal business, who he is. I don't care nothing about none of that. I like what he said about a man, a man's role. Now, who he may have been at 22 and 33 in his first marriage and second marriage may not have been that. But like even Kenny, I'm his fourth wife. I'm Kenny's fourth wife. And I'm sure he's not the man today that he was for his first wife, his second wife, and his third wife, right? That
Mm-hmm.
as you go along, just like we grow, they grow, you know?
Right.
But what I love most is that not only does he have great teachings from his daddy of what a man's supposed to do and who a man's supposed to be and
Right.
what a man is supposed to do in the family household, but his mother also was very powerful and instrumental in, his household and instrumental in his life and telling him what he should and shouldn't be doing as a man, which is
Mm-hmm.
important. And so I love that and I respect that. But I'm glad that at 35, I knew who I was. And so I wrote all these things down. And when you young, you're superficial. Oh, he got to be this and that and that and that. Real superficial, right? But by the time I got to be 35, I'm like, okay, let me let me be real, because now I know who I am, right?
Uh-huh.
Because at first you be like, I don't like the way he brushes his teeth, and I don't like the way all that stuff is just. And all men are, and I don't want to say all men are the same, but the makeup, basic things, you know, of
Right.
how men are, the little things they do around the house. And,
Right.
it's funny because I talk to a lot of women and we have the same complaints, same, conversations, so a lot of times that part doesn't change, but I'm glad that you have left that door open and haven't closed it because my mom did. And I would say I wouldn't even say 60 days, I would say 6 weeks.
Mm-hmm.
Her whole, you can't tell me what God can't do. Her whole thought process changed, and she's open and willing to find love again. She doesn't want
Mm-hmm.
to get married, and that's fine. I get that. You know, even my aunt, my oldest aunt, my aunt Rosler, that works at the office.
Mm-hmm.
She doesn't want to get married, but she's open to being in a relationship, which is so, so, so important because, like my mother in law used to say, because she never remarried. My mother in law never remarried. Kenny's parents got divorced when he was, I think, a freshman in college. And so his dad remarried, but his mother never remarried, but she did date, right? And I remember her like yesterday. I mean, she passed away in 2020, and she said, she said, I appreciate my girlfriends and you and everybody, my son, everybody said, oh, Virginia, you look pretty, or Virginia this, or doing this for you, doing that for you. She said, but it's nothing like a man who says, Virginia, you look pretty, who opens the door for you, who drives you places, who holds the umbrella, who just treats you like a woman,
Mm-hmm.
And so, whatever it is that you want, I pray that God bless you with it. So, you said your grandbabies are not there with you. So, you are in Arlington, Texas. So, what brought you to Arlington?
Um, my mom, because she moved here after dad passed, about 8 years,
Hmm.
I think, after dad passed, she moved here. I have a sister and two brothers that are here. And
Okay, good. So,
so,
you're there with family.
yeah, I'm here with family. Um, what got me to Texas is everything that had been going on in my life back in Kansas City, Missouri. They tell you that you need to change people, places, and things.
Yes.
And after the third marriage and what had transpired with that, it was time for me to go. And I retired from the post office. And I had always said, even growing up, when I realized where I was actually born, that I want to move back to
Mhm.
Texas. I want to go back home, you know?
Okay. So
So
you were
I
actually
moved
born
back
in Texas.
in Houston.
Oh, really?
Mhm.
Okay. Okay. And okay, so you are actually born in Houston, Texas.
Yes, I
Okay, well,
left
I'm
there when I was 6 because daddy was in the military.
military. Yeah, I heard you say your daddy was in the military.
Hmm.
That's one of the reasons why I thought you had gone to Arlington because I'm sure there's a base up there. It's
Hmm.
a
No, my
military
family,
base.
my half of my family is here.
Okay.
But yeah,
Okay.
all of my children are back in Kansas City, Missouri. My oldest got married. That's why I say I have 5 grandchildren. She's
Okay.
my granddaughter in love. And
Okay.
I'm about to be a great grandma
Are you kidding me?
in November.
That is such a
Yeah,
blessing.
I'm excited about it.
That is such a blessing. My grandmother died in 2017, and she got a chance to hold my nephew. She had dementia, and she got a chance to hold him. And of course, he was just born in January, and but it's a blessing because she got a chance to be a part, to be able to see him. But
Right.
my grandfather, he's still living, and it's 5 generations. Like I have a cousin, first cousin, who's a grandmother, and it's crazy. For Easter, I had 5 generations at my house. My
Wow.
grandfather, my aunts and uncles, my generation, their children, and one of them have children. So That's a blessing in itself,
Yeah.
you know. And well, congratulations. Do you know if it's a girl or boy or
Don't know yet. They haven't had a
don't know
reveal
yet?
yet. They haven't had a
Okay,
reveal yet.
okay. Well, let me tell you something. You cute. You
What
young.
you?
You jazzing
67.
with your purple, baby. You look good. Okay,
Thank you.
with your earrings, your purple earrings, and your purple outfit. And let me tell you something. There is a king out there that's looking for a queen, and you are it.
All
Okay.
right now.
And so I'm so glad that you haven't closed those doors. So let me ask you this question because, well, you did say you still work at a school. So are you, some people, like my mom, she met somebody at the grocery store. At
Hmm.
least that's what she told me. My mother lives with me, but she hasn't shared with me this person's information because she said she don't want me to know yet. All I say is, you know what? I'm glad, but just please look for them signs, okay? Because, ooh, Lord,
Mm.
sometimes we as women, we ignore them,
That's the thing.
because we're
See, I
so
don't ignore them
desperate
no
to be
more.
loved. I know,
Mm-mm.
girl. I'm so
No, I don't
happy.
ignore them no more.
I'm so happy for you. I'm so happy for you,
Thank
Lerona.
you. Can I tell you
You're
a
so
story?
welcome. Yes, you can tell
Can
me
I
a
tell you a
story.
story? Okay, so
Yes.
you're talking about just pay attention to the signs. I did a post that said just that. Pay attention to the
Um,
signs because the deceiver is out there roaming.
a
Now,
whole
one
lot
day,
of them.
yeah, a whole lot of them, but this is what happened to me that day as the reason why I made that post is because I had walked to the dollar store, and on my way back, this black car pulls up and asks me if I'm single. The guy asked me if I'm single, and I said yes. He said, "Can I have your number?" I said, "Okay." So I gave him the number. I'm looking at his car. Now, he's a nice looking young man, okay? But he's all dressed in black. His car is black, but the handles are blinging, like rhinestones type blinging, right? So I'm like, okay. So then he said, "Well, when are you free?" I said, "The weekend." Because I texted him, I said, "The weekend. I'm free on the weekend." Then he said, "Well, can I come over tomorrow?" I'm like, what part of the weekend did he not understand?
Right. Because it's
Yeah.
tomorrow the
So he said,
weekend.
now this was on a Sunday, mind you. So I said, no, that's not possible. So then he said, oh, okay. He said, well, maybe we can go out to lunch dinner or something next Saturday. I said, okay. So then I get another text. I get another text. This dude say, can I just pay you for sex?
Say, look, don't confuse me walking to the dollar store that he didn't thought you was a prostitute. Lerona?
I have no idea. I was wearing jeans and a top, and I wasn't showing no skin other than my face. I said, that'll be a no.
Let me tell you something. These men, I mean, when you look at the news and you see all these pedophiles,
Hmm.
sex trafficking is real. I tell, sex trafficking is huge in Texas, and that's because right at the border of Mexico. And it doesn't matter what age you are.
Hmm.
It don't matter what age you are. Okay, so let me tell you this. In the future, the next time somebody asks for your phone number,
Yeah, you don't give
say,
it to him.
give me your number. And when you call them, star 69 still works.
Yeah.
Okay? Block your number
Oh, I
and
did all
communicate
that.
with
I did
him.
all that. I should go back to what I used to do and give him the number to the police station.
Okay. But then wait a minute. But then you may meet your Boaz one day.
One day, but it won't come at me like that.
Show won't.
Not like that.
Not at all. He gonna
Mm-mm.
want
See,
to know
I
this
had did a prayer that
before
day.
he know this.
I had did a prayer that day, and
Well,
and
you
and
know
and
the
that's what came.
devil.
That's
Well, you
what
know
came
the
to me.
devil.
That's
Well,
what
you
came
know
to me. I'm
what?
like, oh no, the devil is a lie.
Uh-uh. Uh-huh. You know what? The devil right there. When you praying and having your conversation with God,
Hmm.
the devil right there trying to intercept and listening to and hearing what it is
Yeah.
that you praying for.
Pay
And he tries
attention
to
to
throw
the
that little stuff.
signs. Pay attention to the signs, and all the
And don't
signs was there,
ever
and
be
I
too
paid
desperate.
attention to them. But it ain't gonna happen
Good.
again.
Good. And don't
It
be
ain't gonna
desperate.
happen again.
Well, I appreciate you being open and willing and honest and willing to share. And thank you for telling your story. I really enjoyed this conversation tonight. It was really helpful and therapeutic for me because I was having a bad day. I was having a good day,
Uh huh.
but what I have to learn how to do is not say not care, but I have to let go and let God. Like I keep
Right.
trying to be this for my family, and it's weighing me down, Lerona. It's
Well, the
weighing
one
me
thing that you
down.
can do, Mrs. Lloyd, the one thing that you can do is what I'm always told: give it to God and leave it there.
Yeah, yeah. And
Stop.
let people,
But we keep picking it back up.
and we keep, because what happens is what I have to realize is just because I see so much potential
Hmm.
and I see clearly,
Right.
that don't mean that everybody see what I see or
That's right.
everybody's going to get there when I want them to get there. But I know that they can get there. And what I also learned is because I not only do I read my acts of faith, but I also read my Joe Osteen. I can't remember the name of the book. It's a daily book too,
Hmm.
and just that you have to keep people in prayer. You have to speak things into
Right.
existence, or speak. As a matter of fact, I sent them that too. The word from Joel today too. It's like a 2.5 pager, just a little, not
Hmm.
long paragraph. Was basically talking about um, just speaking positivity
Right.
into your life,
Right.
into your mind. When you say, "Oh, I'm tired," then you're gonna be tired.
Then you're gonna be tired.
"Oh, I don't feel good," then you're not gonna feel good. "Oh, I'm gonna always be broke," then you gonna be broke. You know. But also, we have to be honest about who we are and some of those bad things. Because another thing I realize is people don't think karma exists. Like karma exists. Like people ask people to do things and expect things of people that they're not even willing to do themselves.
Right.
And it's like mind boggling to me. It's
Yeah.
mind boggling to me. And it's like, okay, if this happened, if I did this to someone, then guess what? It can happen to me too.
That's true.
You know, because why? Who am I? Why do I think I'm better? I mean, if I did this to you, then it'll happen to me. It's possible, you know. And then a lot of times it's even myself because I've done wrong in the past. I do wrong, and when I realize it, I ask for forgiveness,
Right.
and I realize that I've done wrong, and I try not to redo that thing again. See, that's what
Right.
happens when you realize what it is that you've done. Then now you have to not do it again. You know what I
Right.
mean? Because if you can't keep doing it and apologizing, you know what I'm saying? Because we're
That's because
human.
you don't mean it. You don't mean it.
You don't mean it.
You don't
And
mean
you
it.
keep doing the same thing over and over.
Hmm.
Well, thank you so much, Lerona. I appreciate you.
Thank you. I appreciate you
I,
being on the same platform as you. I'm
yes, yes. And I'm just like human, like everybody else. I just don't go to social media and express myself, you know,
hmm
because that's not always the best thing to do, which I find that a
right.
lot of people do. They go and just add all their dirty laundry on social
Hmm.
media. And
Yep.
those people don't know you, they don't know anything about you. And then you start taking what they say to heart. And they don't even
Right.
know you, they don't even know your intentions, or they take one little clip of what you said and turn it into this big old thing
Yeah.
when they didn't even listen to the rest of it or listen to the rest of the story. Or a lot of times we're so quick to judge,
Right.
you know? So
Right.
I guess we've gone, it's 17 after. I guess we've gone longer than we should have. These little cocktails and conversations, coffee, cocktails and conversations can end up
Right.
going
Right.
on and on and on. What you drinking? You drinking Caprice?
Caprice in my cup.
Oh my God. So you can drink Caprice at nighttime and go to sleep?
I do it every day.
I
Look,
cannot.
I just got my coffee within the last couple of days. I've been out for almost 2 months.
Oh no, that's not possible for
So
me. I
this
got,
is like, oh, good, good, good. And it's a double
oh,
shot too.
oh my God. See, no. See, I
But no,
tried.
I sleep. It helps me sleep. It relaxes me.
A lot of people say that,
It
and I
relaxes
tried
me.
that.
It does not keep me awake.
I tried that at the beginning of this coffee and conversations, and I'm like,
Hmm.
okay, you know what? I was up all night long. But you know what? Maybe do you put cream and sugar in your coffee?
I don't put sugar. No.
So maybe that's what it is. Maybe it was the sugar part that was added
Hmm.
to it. But
Yeah.
see, I'm not a
But
coffee
see,
drinker like that though. So I
I
can't
just use creamer, non-dairy.
see I use a non-dairy creamer. I use a
And
non-dairy creamer.
you put sugar in it too?
Not a
No.
lot. Not a lot.
No, not none.
I
None.
actually use pure cane sugar
No sugar.
or honey sometimes.
Well,
But I
maybe,
just I'm
but
not
no
really a
sugar.
coffee. Okay, I'm gonna try it one day.
Okay, so do you know what sugar does to little kids?
What make them hyper?
Yeah,
Yeah,
it keeps them up.
adults too.
It keeps them up. So what you think the sugar gonna do to adults?
I know, but maybe that's what it is. Maybe that's what
Hmm.
it is. You know.
Yep, yep,
Well,
yep, yep, yep.
I'm gonna have to try it another day because, honey, let me tell you something. One thing I cannot go without is a good night's rest because I will be a beast. It shows in my face.
Hmm.
It shows in my attitude. I have to get some rest. It's a
Yeah.
must. It's a must. Well, thank you so much. We're going to go ahead and end this call. We appreciate everybody
Thank
tuning
you.
in. Yes, thank you.
Thank
Thank you.
you.
And I'm so excited. I can't wait till we have our next event. This COVID
Mhm.
situation has really has changed the way of life for a
Yeah,
lot of us.
for a lot of
And
people.
it
Yeah.
made us not be in contact with each other like and be able to see each other and touch each other
Mhm.
and have events like we used to. But
Right.
I pray and hope one day that we can get back to that because we're human beings and we love to see, touch, feel, hug, you
Right.
know
You
be
see, and
close
I'm a
to people.
hugger, so.
Me too. Me too. Me too. I'm a Southern girl. It's a Texas thing, and I love to hug.
Mhm.
Well, I'm gonna give you a virtual hug,
Virtual
Miss
hug.
Lorona. I love you. I appreciate you,
Love you.
and
Thank you
I
so
thank you
much.
again. You're welcome.
Yes.
Bye. Thank you for tuning in, and we'll see you
Bye.
guys again the third Tuesday
Tuesday.
in June, right? For coffee, cocktails, and conversations with Chante Lloyd. And we're going to fall in love with ourselves again. Let's take it away, Rocky. Thank you so much. See you
Thank
later.
you, Rocky. Bye.
Mwah. Bye.